Hello and welcome to another edition of the Low Code Cafe from Plant and App. This is episode number 129 for March 1st. No, not March 1st. This is March 8th. I'll have to fix that slide. March 8th of 2023. Today we're going to be talking about our new version 1.25. We are winding down on the features that are in there, but not yet ready to start our beta test and release cycle. But we thought we would give you a sneak peek into the kinds of things that are going to be in this release. So we'll be talking about new features and updates, and also I'll be touching on some hotfixes here as well. So I am Dale Warner, Head of Support for Plant and App. I'm joined today. Patrick is going to be doing at least half of this demonstration. And so Patrick Anderson, Technical Success Manager with Plant and App. The Low Code Cafe is an event we do every Wednesday at this hour, and it's an opportunity for us to tell you what we've been up to and to demonstrate some low coding techniques. And it's really about communicating how our product is advancing or how it's being used. We invite you to be our guest speaker if you have a great use case or something that you've been working on and you'd like to show it. I guarantee you those are our most popular episodes. So please do join us for that. All these episodes are recorded and put out on our YouTube channel, so you've got a great number of hours of training content, things to show you how to do the various things that are available within Plant and App, and that's a great add-on for you and a great resource. So that's youtube.com/plantandapp, and so go there, subscribe, set the alarm bell, and you'll know when we post new episodes. Our agenda today, I'm going to talk briefly about some things that are going on the support channel from the trenches of support, and then Patrick and I will talk about our new features in our low code development segment. Do interact with us, please. We have a chat window or Q&A form there for Zoom. You can raise your hand and talk if you like. Or when it's all over with, give us some feedback. There's some feedback. There's a feedback form on links to the emails that we send to you, and we'll also put them on the clipboard here in a minute. Great. So the main thing that I wanted to mention today is that on our version 1.24, which has been out for several weeks now, I guess this has been current since December sometime. We've previously released 15 different hotfixes, and today we're releasing 3 more. There's another slide that I should fix. There's 3, not 0. The end. Where did they go? I might have deleted the slide. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's talk about the things that are in there. Nope, I just skipped it. Here it is. So we had 3 bug fix things that you'll get if you install the hotfixes that are available. This is if you're on version 1.24 and you go to the Updates tab, you'll see these hotfixes listed along with any others that you haven't installed yet. So if you were using the drag and drop feature of listings under a Bootstrap 3 configuration, that's been fixed. The drag and drop feature is very slick, and we have several video resources where we've demonstrated how to do that, and one of our community members has provided a really great script. So if you want to be able to drag and drop rows on your listings, we can show you how to configure that. For example, if you have a list of things that need to be put in order, you want this to happen before that, you can drag the rows around. But it wasn't working in our Bootstrap 3 version. Of course, Bootstrap 5 is the recommended version for all new development, and the direction that you should plan to go in the months to come will be retiring Bootstrap 3, but or our ongoing use of Bootstrap 3. So you'll want to navigate towards Bootstrap 5, but that's fixed. And then in one of our releases, the single file upload, if you had a form that accepted a file, that it stopped working in a Bootstrap 3 setting. So, and the symptom then was that somebody would attach a file and click your button and it would say, please wait, and wouldn't do anything. So we fixed that problem, and so now single file upload is back to working as normal. We also made some improvements regarding the configuration screen. So when certain functionalities were not, certain dependencies, meaning things like our console.plantainapp.com or some of our other internal systems were not online, that the configuration screen was taking a long time to load. We've made improvements, corrected those dependencies, so now that's no longer an issue. So our systems are up most of the time, but you shouldn't be penalized if our systems are down, so we fixed that. Beyond that, I'll just mention we do 2 meetings a week, this one and then this webinar, and then a meeting on Fridays this same hour. And that's more of a meeting format. We open the floor. You can talk about the things that you've learned about the product or things that you're having trouble with. And it really I've seen it work to a great degree like a steering committee, where you get suggestions about how you could get something done, or a good way to advance what you've already got in progress. So I invite you to engage in that this same hour on Fridays. We have some links for this episode. It's our standard ones: how to register in advance for the low-code campfire, how to get to our recordings on YouTube, the community portal, which is a great place to get questions answered about our product, because it's served by both us and our community members, and then our webinar feedback form. You can tell us what you liked or didn't like, or what you'd like to see in the low-code cafe going forward. So that is the From the Trenches segment. We are going to do some hands-on low coding, and it is the Plantainapp team. We're going to talk about features in version 1.25. Again, we're not announcing a release date, but it's coming up in the next few weeks. So it's timely to talk about. Great. So Patrick is going to talk about training guides in general, a big piece of what we're doing, and an underused feature of Plantainapp. And then I'm going to talk about a variety of things. So Patrick, would you like to join us? And
sure. And share my screen here.
You're getting photobombed by the dog in the background.
Oh, really? Yeah, they're a little bit active right now.
Perfect.
Okay, so yes, so training guides is something that's been in Plantainapp since the beginning, and it's occasionally got a little bit of work. But in 1.25, we are really doing some additional investment in training guides, and part of it is because obviously we want to improve it for everyone, but it's also for us as well, because it's we want to utilize training guides in Plantainapp itself. So just an overview of what's new in 1.25. This is a really cool, this first item is, I think, the coolest thing about the improvements is that we're now able to advance to the next step in the guide based on events that happen that the user does. Like if they click something, if they click the element or hover over an element, or they put a specific value into an input element. So, and I'm going to show you this stuff, but I'm just going to go through these improvements here. And then in the title and help text, and then for that input value option that I just mentioned, field value, we can use tokens. So I can now tokenize the title of a tooltip to be custom for the logged in user in some way. So we can pull any token from context, and likewise the help text that's shown on the tooltip, and we can customize that field value. So if in the title I say to enter a specific value, then I can make the advancement to the next step dependent on the value that I've asked them to enter. We can now select the placement of the tooltip. We can now export and import guides. So that wasn't a possibility before, but now we have an export option, and then you can import the guide into another site. We've improved the styling of the tooltips that are used, and they now use Bootstrap 5. And if Bootstrap 5 is not available on the page, it will pull in Bootstrap 5 itself. And as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, one of our motivations in doing these improvements is that we are now going to start using guides as another way to train new users of Plantinap. And we're all really excited about this idea. And what I want to do for you today, because it's practical, I have an assignment I need to do, and I'm going to share the beginnings of that assignment with you. So we're going to take a look at the beginnings of a user guide that's eventually going to be included for new users of Plantinap. So having said that, I'm going to switch over to my browser where I'm going to demo this. And so here we are, we're in configuration and we're on the training tab. I'm just going to refresh here to make sure my session is alive. It is good. And so I'm going to start from absolute scratch here. Click on new guide. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of copy and pasting just to speed things along so I don't have to subject all of you to my my typing skills. They're not quite up to the Dale Warner level. But anyway, so the guide that I want to create is going to be called a tour of configuration. So I'm just going to call it PAA configuration tour. And just put in a quick description here. And we're going to go ahead and leave it enabled, and we need to add a trigger. So my trigger, basically, I'm going to add a page here, and we're going to, the page that we want to enable this for is configuration. So this is the, where Plantinap is located on the site, and we're going to do it on page load. Now, I have another guide that I'm working on that guides a person through creating their first entity, and that starts on the home page. And for that guide, just as an example, I added another condition here that the logged in user must have the role of low-code engineer. I'm not doing that here because I'm going to present this guide to anyone who's able to access configuration. So if you're a low-code engineer, you can access configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it for just when configuration loads, then we're going to start the guide. There are other things we could consider here. I could build in a dismiss, and then if somebody has dismissed this, instead of finishing the guide for them, I could say, I could have a value that says they dismissed it. So there's lots of possibilities here, but I'm going to keep it simple for now. Okay, so having done all that, move my picture out of the way there. I'm going to click save. And now I'm going to start configuring the guide. I'm going to at first do some high level steps, and then I'm going to come back and add in some detail steps. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. So the first step I want to do is I'm going to add a step that's basically an intro to what the guide's going to present to you. And I'm going to put in a tooltip, the title and the help text, and it's going to appear on the configuration page. And I'm going to say that the placement is automatic. This doesn't have to be automatic. Will be default, but I'm just showing to you that the fact that I have this option, and of doing the top, bottom, left, and right placement of the tooltip. And I'm going to have to just excuse myself for a second and see if I can quiet the fellows down.
We can't hear them.
Oh, you can't hear them? Okay, all right, that's good. Good. Okay. So then I'm going to save this and come back to this, and I'm going to, just so I have my changes saved here, I'm going to save that, and I'm going to switch to interactive mode. So interactive mode, puts you into a spot where you can see the site and you can see what you're doing. So now I'm going to open my tour back up and open up the step that I just was configuring. And notice that because I have configuration selected as the page that I'm going to load, it's already put configuration over here. So I want to choose a DOM element where the tooltip is going to appear. So this can be a little bit tricky. I put my cursor here and I click this button, and notice that now I have different areas of the page being selected. I'm going to what I really want to do is select the entire side panel. This is about the best I've been able to accomplish, but I just want to show you that you can you have the option of kind of using the element it loads as let's say inspiration, and then you can edit it. So we're just going to take a quick look at what it put in here. Actually, I'm okay with this placement. I think I did it slightly different on my example that I'm following here, but I'm okay with this placement. So we have in the works just a splash intro type option. Right now, we only have the tooltips. So, but go down the road, we have these things planned. One of the things we're going to do is, so that not everything needs to be a tooltip, we'll have the option of just doing a modal that has an intro type thing. But for now, I'm just doing a tooltip that's focused on the main area where I'm going to be focusing during today. Now, I'm going to we're going to get to this. I'm not using that quite yet, but I'm going to add a button. And my first button is going to be called Begin Tour. And for that button, I'm just going to, I'll put a little help text on there just for good measure. I might skip some of these steps to move along in a bit here, but for now, I'm going to keep that the way it is. I'm going to style this button as primary style, and the action I want to add is next step. So I'll just type step here to find my my step actions here, and I'm going to add a next step action. And then I'm going to add another button, and this one is going to be called skip. So we'll call this skip tour. And this one, I'm going to make a link. And you can see these things happening over here, which this is really kind of handy that you're seeing what you're creating over here on the right as you're doing it. And then the action I want to add here is finish guide. So this will go ahead and record the value in the database that this user has finished this guide. There's other options we could do here. We could configure this so that they have a skip option that allows them to come back later. So there's different ways we can approach this. For now, the skip tour is just going to finish the guide for them, and that basically dismisses it for them. They won't see it anymore. Okay, so that is all I want to do there. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to add another step. And that step is going to show the getting started area of configuration. So we'll call it getting started and put in some help text. And here I'm going to specify the placement of this to be on the right. And obviously it's going to be on the configuration page, and it already has that loaded for me. And now I'm going to choose my DOM element. And I'm going to select right there. And now so we don't actually get to see the content we've created until we choose a DOM element. And you notice as soon as I chose one, I see my content that I've created there. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and just add a button. We'll call this button next. I'm going to leave it as the default styling. And we're going to add an action here, and this is just going to be the next step action. So I'll choose next step, and there's nothing else I need to do here. I could, of course, I can do conditions on this and things like that, but next step will just advance it to the next step. Okay, so save that one the way it is. And then I want to, I'm going to move people next to the general tab. So I'll go ahead, add step. And general and get my help text. And go ahead and choose my DOM element. So once again, general. Oh, didn't quite get it there. Sometimes that's a little bit tricky to get. Let's see. Let me go ahead and do this again because I did see it. That's not usually. Oh, there we go. Well, this is Dale. If you can make a note on this for me, that I am having a little bit of a difficulty here. And once again, just a reminder, we're working with an early version here. There, I got it now. So there's my DOM element loaded, and I just want to check something here. Yep, looks like we're good there. Okay, and now for this one, I'm going to do a couple things. I am going to use the trigger next step option here, and I'm going to say click. I'll explain this in a moment why I'm doing this. So I'm kind of doubling up actions here. So if I'm going to actually also put a next button in, and that button is going to have a next step action in it. So basically, my on click and my next step are going to do the same thing here for now, but I'll show you how that's going to pan out in just a second. So we're going to save that the way it is, and then add another step. And I'm going to go to our next one is going to be roles. Put a little help text in. And I'm going to accept the defaults here, go down to configuration, and we'll do the DOM element. And I'll get the roles in here. And for now, I'm going to just see if I can just copy and paste this, and we will look at. I haven't had that much trouble doing that in my other site, so I'm going to just I'll take a look at why I'm having that much trouble here. Okay, so then we're also going to do the same thing we did here. I'm going to put trigger next step as an on-click event of the, and just to clarify that, because I don't think I did a minute ago, this triggering of the next step on click is on click of the element that I have selected. So this element is roles. So if the user clicks anywhere in that area, it will advance to the next step. And once again, I'm going to do a next button here, and with a next action. And save that. And
yeah, and you left your DOM selector going, and that's interesting that hangs around even after saving.
Oh yeah, yeah, that is interesting. I don't think I've noticed that before either. That's the beauty of a live demonstration, isn't it? Yeah. Always discover new things, don't we? And then I want to add another step, and we're going to say this was going to, and just so you know, I'm not going to go all the way down through here. I'm just users and pages is all I want to do. I'm going to go over here, put in my help text, and we will go to configuration and DOM element, and Okay, there we go. Make sure this looks right here. Yep, it does. Okay, and on click, and we'll add in a next button here too, with a next event. And save that. And then finally, I'm going to add one more here for pages. And choose my DOM element. There we go. And on pages, I'm going to kind of do a little wrap up of my buttons. So trigger next step is going to be none. Once again, I don't have to choose none. It's a default value. And my first button here, I'm going to do a start over button. So we'll give the user an opportunity to go back through, and because the idea here is I'm going to have kind of a detail dive in to see if there's any, if somebody wants to go into more detail in any specific area, that's what's going to happen here. So they can actually, at the end, go back and do their details if they want. So the start over button is going to have an action on it that I'll type a step here. And that's going to be a go to step action. And we're going to specify that the go to step action is we're going to take them back to the very beginning, learn about the key areas of Plankton app. And then I also want to, and I see, I think I want I decided that that was going to be a, style. I wanted to make that a, style that as a success button. And I'm going to add another button, and we're going to call this one finish. Oops, let's spell it correctly. And oh, that's adding an action. I'm sorry. That's the action. That's the action I want. But we're going to go here, and this is actually what the button's going to be. And then our action is going to be the finish guide action, and that once again does the same thing we were talking about in that first one. And I'm going to style this as a link. The button styling. Actually, I think I'll do warning. So we just have two different buttons that we're not seeing throughout. So just a little bit of UI type stuff. Okay, so that is great. I'm going to save that, and I am going to I put a preview in a new tab here and go to configuration, and we'll just give this a little test to see where we are here. So I've navigated to the page, and I see begin tour. And then I see this information about getting started. Getting started is the default tab. So that's the information I put in. I can click next, and I see the general tab allows you to view some basic settings. And here I said I can click general in the menu to see more, or click next below to learn more about Plankton app roles. That should say to learn more about Plankton app general, but I can fix that easily. So then right now, the on-click event for here and the next button are going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to choose the on-click event, and that's taking me to, so now I see the tooltip for roles. But you can see also that I went into general. So when I add steps to go here, if I click general, I will automatically start the steps that are within here. And otherwise I can, if I clicked next, when I click general, then it would have taken me to roles. But here I am on roles. I'm gonna go ahead and use the next button to just finish this out. So I get to users. Next, I'm seeing pages, and I'm seeing my option to start over or finish. I'll click start over, and you can see it takes me back to begin tour. So now let's go back to our interactive mode here. And I have in my plan here, and maybe I'll come back to it if we still have time, but I'm going to skip to my plan for roles, because that's where I'm going to show you some of the other things that can happen in some of the other features that I spoke about. So I'm going to add a step here, and the step I want to add is let me just copy a few things here. Okay. Use the placement auto, and go to my DOM element. And I need to be on the correct tab here. So this is actually looking at roles. I should have selected that first before, but okay, there I am. Okay, so now, now I had a little bit of trouble getting specifically up there. I had it for a second. When I was doing this, I had a little bit of trouble getting the exact DOM element that I wanted. But we'll see if I can manage it here. What I want is the DOM element of just the table. So anyway, it doesn't seem like it's working very well for me to get that. So what I did is I picked one, and then I just edited it a little bit. So I deleted that, and let me navigate to the end, and I backed up through this. Oh, not finding it exactly here. So I'm going to copy the value I did, just so you can see that you don't necessarily have to. You can choose a click something over here, but then you can make edits here to make it kind of, and full disclosure, I used in the inspect feature of my browser to kind of examine the CSS selector that was being put in the box, and then also to say, okay, what I really want is this, and to just kind of customize it a little bit so it's a little bit more of a reliable selector for me. And I did that in a few instances, and I'll show you again in a second some more that I did there with the selector. But here I have now my tooltip just pointing at the roles table, and that's what I wanted here. Okay, and I'm not going to do any on-click event here. I'm just going to do a button, and this is going to be a simple, like we've seen me do several times here. I'm just going to do a simple next button. And we'll save that. And then I wanted to go, now I'm going to offer somebody the option of creating a new role. So go here, add a step, and create a new role. This gives them a little information about creating the role. And then we're going to go to the DOM element, and I'm going to select the new button. There we go. And the trigger step is going to be the clicking of that button is going to trigger the next step. And I don't have a, and then I do want to add a next button, because I'm giving people the option of not stepping through this if they don't want to right now, because this will actually create a role in the system. I'm going to step them through actually creating a role in the system. So I'll go ahead and add this button. So this is the option to skip. And let's see what okay. I'm just going to put the button in there as a placeholder for now. We'll do something with it if we get that far.
Can I ask
All
a
right.
general question?
Yes, please.
So, Jim, actually, I'm asking for Jim.
Okay,
asked
yep.
What security roles are required to do a guide? And I think it's just low-code engineer, isn't it?
For creating a guide, is that what the?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's just low-code engineer. Yeah, that's the requirement. Access to configuration.
And then one from me, I'm wondering if you refresh the page, if it'll get rid of that. Your
Oh,
that
probably will get rid of it. Let's see if we. And let me go ahead.
Bug, but just curious if it went away for that. So good.
Yeah. Definitely. Go ahead and add another step here, and the next step I want to put in is so we did the create a new role. So enter a role name. And here, actually, I'll explain this a little bit more when I actually show my DOM element. So I'm going to move on down, and where that refresh of the page got rid of configuration automatically being loaded. So let me just locate that again. There it is, configuration. And I need to switch to the roles tab and click new and choose my DOM element. And it's going to be this role name text entry here. And so now notice that what I put into the help text says enter, and I use a token here, and that's showing, the tokenization is showing up here. So in interactive mode, we actually see the tokens, but once I demo this, you'll see that this is going to be, the token is going to be resolved. So we'll stick with that there. And then on my trigger next step, I'm going to choose field value. And this is an important thing here. So let me just copy this. And so my field value has to be exactly what I told the user to enter there. So I'm putting in the tokenized, the token with the word test there, because that's what I asked them to enter. And this is what will allow the advancement of to the next step. Is the entry of this value into the field. Now, I've been doing a lot of talking about playing with the DOM elements. So one thing that I know, just because I've been working with this a little bit, is that in this particular instance on the configuration page, this ID of this is not reliable. So this is a dynamic ID that can change. So this DOM element choice here is not going to really be reliable for me. So with a little bit of playing around, what I decided to do was to choose an attribute of the element as my selector. So I'm looking for an input element that has an attribute called data placeholder, and the attribute needs to equal role name. So it's just a different selector. It's a different way of selecting the same element that the ID was selecting before, but this is reliable. The data placeholder for this field is going to be role name. So that's just wanted to explain that sometimes you do have to play with your DOM elements, especially if you happen to know that what was chosen automatically is something that won't be reliable in the future. Okay, so I've done all that and save that. And I'm going to add another step here to get the description because it is required. And that, if I can find my, describe the role, here we go. Add a step. All right, and we're going to accept all the defaults here. I'll go to the DOM element. I'm going to choose the entry for role description. And once again, here I know that element it chose there is not reliable. So I'm going to just paste in my replacement value that I figured out was the more reliable way of doing it. Dale? Yep.
Yeah, and when you said not reliable, it means it's dynamic, right?
It's dynamic. Yes, I'm sorry. Not reliable sounds very negative, and that's not what I meant. I don't
Our
mean.
product is very reliable.
I don't mean to. Yeah,
It
it's
is
just
a
that
little
it's a.
dynamic too.
Yeah, the IDs of these elements on this page happen to be dynamic. They change. So I'm trying to pick a selector that will not be dynamic. And the data placeholder for this field is always going to be role description. And so I'm choosing once again, the input element text area where where it has an attribute data placeholder equaling role description. Okay, and here our trigger next step is going to be a field value, and the field value I told them to enter this is just a test. And I'll put that here as the field value that they need to have entered. Now, I'll pause here for a second and just say that optionally, what you could do here is if you wanted the user to have the option of entering the values you specify, or you want them to go ahead and create a role that really means something to them, you could add buttons to these. So you could have the trigger next step being a value, or you could have a button so they could put whatever value they want in, and just describe that in the help text. But you could have both here. It's not one or the other. You could say that this triggers the next step if they enter this text, or a button can trigger the next step if they don't enter that text. So you can make this more open for users as well. I'm going to leave it the way it is for now, and we'll save that. And then I think I have one more thing for roles I need to do here. And that is the save button for the roles. Okay, add step. Click save. We'll let the placement be automatic, and we're on configuration. I just need to select my DOM element. And once again, I'm going to select this, but there's something here that as I looked at this, and I actually was struggling with it for a little bit, and then I realized, oh, wait a second, it shows the class for the button when it's disabled. So once I actually have role name and description entered, then my tooltip was disappearing. So I fixed that by playing with the DOM elements a little bit again. So this is what I came up with. So now it's just the class that it has when it's so it doesn't show it basically this removes the disabled class. That's what I replaced in there. And then my trigger next step here is going to be on the on click of the save, and that is it for that one. Now let me expand this for a second, and then I need to do a little bit of rearranging of my actions here. So I have 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are my deep dive on roles steps in my guide here. So I'm going to take them and I'm going to move them, each one of them, the list of existing roles, to create a new role, enter a role name, describe the role, and save the role underneath my roles step. So now when I click roles to trigger the next event action, it's going to go here. So let me save this, and I'm going to do a reload of the page here and go to roles. And I'm going to take this next button here that I created earlier, and I'm going to get rid of the next step action, because now I don't want the next button to go to the next step. I want the next button to go to allow the user to skip the deep dive on roles. So I'm going to remove that and then click a type step here and choose a go to step action. And I'm going to choose the users. So if they click next, they go to the users to learn more about users. And if they click roles, they go into the deep dive on roles. So let's save that like that. I'm going to reload the page. And now I want to go here to pages and do a double check on my start over button. This is something, so once again, we're using an early version of everything. And of course, in testing, we discover little things. And something I discovered was that my go to step action was losing its value. So I'm just going to update this. The go to step for the start over I want is to take it back to the beginning of this guide. And we'll save that and reload and just go ahead and test it now. Okay, so earlier, let's see if I'm still good there. I reset myself to the beginning of the tour. Okay, so let's take begin tour, and I'll click next. And I didn't correct this right here, but that's okay. It doesn't mess up the functionality. So there's my information about general. And if I click next, then I have roles where it says I can click roles in the menu to go learn more, or I can click next to go to the users area. I'm going to go ahead and click next here. And you can see it took me to users, next, and I'll click start over. And now I'm back at the begin tour. So now I'll go through this again, click next, and now I'm on roles again. This time I'm going to click roles. And you can see that it took me to roles, and now I am seeing my details on the roles tab. So here's my list of existing roles with a little bit of information about the editing, basically saying that, grayed out, the system roles can't be edited or deleted. And I can click next. Oh, I must have missed a next action here. Let's go take a look at that. So this is the list of existing roles. I'm going to reload this list of existing roles. I created my next button. Oh, it says I have a next step action there. So do I see anything I'm missing? Save that again. I'm just going to do a reload here. See if my next button still doesn't work here. It doesn't. I'm not sure what's going on there. I haven't seen that before. Everything appears to be right. Let me just look one more time at my list of existing roles action. I don't think it has to do with none. Maybe it does. No, it doesn't, because it's a button. Nope. Because this is only on the elements, so I don't think that's it. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to remove that and save it, reload, and come back into the list of existing roles. Go back to my next button and add an action. Oops. And choose next step, and we'll save that again. Now come back over here and reload this and see if it works this time. It doesn't. Well, I'll have to explore that. That didn't. My inspiration system is not doing that. So live demos, right?
Yes.
So anyway, but we didn't get to see the. Let me see if I can. Here, what we can do is just come in here and existing roles, and we will just temporarily disable it. Save. And then it may still show it to me. It does, but what I can do, and I had this set up just in case. I'm going to do a little reset here on my user. Okay, so we're going to go back through this real quick here. Oh, wanted to go to roles is what I wanted to do. Okay, so now I skipped that, and now I can click create a new role, new, enter a role name. And so here's where I wanted to show you that the help text is tokenized. And then if I enter, it's supposed to go. I entered the correct text. So I need to, I'll need to double check that. But it should be advancing to the next.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, take away the guides have new features, still a little bit rough, so maybe we'll come back to.
And some of this is, you know, some of it could be if I look at, and this is the kind of troubleshooting that you know, just to make sure that everything is working right, that it does involve. As I look at that specific, which one is it? Enter a role name and look at my selector. It could have to do with my, you know, this is the selector I'm using, so it should be working. I think everything else here is right. But yeah, I'm sure if I played with this some, I might figure out exactly what is causing the issue here. But and once again, and also I'm not even sure. I didn't check to make sure that we're all up to date here as well. So we probably are, but anyway.
So
I think everyone gets the idea.
Yeah, and I guess maybe to just kind of two things to wrap it up. We're kind of beginning and an ending. Just for historical note, that we discovered this week that the very first low-code cafe was Bogdan demonstrating this feature, and now we are at the point of incorporating it into the product as a guide to show how the product works. Which you know, that commitment to doing that is, I think, going to make these some of these rough edges that we're seeing here in development are going to get knocked off, and we'll have a product that you can use if it's worth it to invest in developing a guide and walking people through particular processes or an introduction or things like that. I think it's going to be useful. Good. Can I steal it back, Patrick?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I am going to take the last few minutes here, and I'll just warn you in advance, I might go over for a couple of minutes, but I do want to just point out some new features that you're going to get in the product and in version 125, in addition to those enhancements to guides. So the first one is about confirmation before navigating away from unsaved work. And this is, again, something that's happening in our new areas where we've been working. So automation is where we're seeing this first. I'm sure it'll get rolled out to APIs and other areas. But if we, let's make sure my site is alive here. Nope, I'm not logged in. So we'll get us logged in. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to have to copy some credentials here. And so we have this, I'm going to skip the tour that Patrick's been working on. See, we're working on the same system here. But this first one is kind of nice. We go in and edit an item and start typing, maybe making a change. And when we come and click away onto the menu, we get this warning that we have unsaved changes. This is a new technology that we're just introducing to the internet. Nobody's ever seen this before. preventing you from losing work. So you get to the actual options you can leave anyway, or you can cancel your leaving. In the same way, if we did a refresh of the site, says, hey, wait, you're reloading and your changes might not be saved. So gives you a chance to save your work. Now, again, this is not throughout our product. It's only in automation so far. So you should be careful about navigating away early, but at least that's an area that we're heading. With Autocomplete, we've made some changes to make it better spacing, better cleanup of parentheses, small things that make it more manageable. So, for example, if we have a create update token and we start to type up a token value, it goes into its auto suggestion, and like if we wanted a user token and we wanted the user's first name, it's automatically suggesting the values. We showed that before, but it's got some things. So like, for example, this one has an optional parameter for username, user ID. If we get rid of that, makes it easy to get rid of the parentheses. You just hit the backspace, and so now the token, no special effort required to clean up the token. It was a little rough before. But if we do have a parenthesis, it goes on to suggest, oh, I want to pick them by user ID, for example, and it's filling it in for us. So just some improvements in how that works, but also that's working for a longer list of items. And so I'll just put them up here. The token autocomplete now is working from all these different kinds of items within the areas where autocomplete is present. So we've been improving that. As you know, we have hundreds of actions, and we haven't built this feature into them all yet, but we're attacking them according to the frequency of the way these actions are used. So most places now you're going to find that that's available. There's another one that is going to be nice to be able to get it to shortcut to get to your workflows. So, and I am going to leave here without it. I've created a simple workflow called find root cause. And when I edit the workflow, it really doesn't do anything. It's just a start and an end. It's just a little placeholder workflow. But within automation, if I am editing a job and want to use that workflow, I can add an action that says find root cause, and so it's an execute find root cause action. Notice that this find root cause is hyperlinked now. If you click the hyperlink, it will open up in a new tab the workflow and begin a tour. No, it'll open up the workflow and let you edit it and work with it. So we're moving now towards a spot where you can easily navigate from within the product to other areas in the product and kind of deep dive. This is a work in progress. This will probably, instead of being a hyperlink, it'll probably be an icon like the navigate away icon, just so that that you know that this is not going to get lost, and that it's something that's clickable. But that's a nice feature, going to make it easier for developers. We've talked in previous episodes about the extract PDF action, and so in workflows, when or any place where you can do an action, we have this new action, extract workflows, and I demonstrated that a few episodes back. You can find it in the Low Code Cafe recordings, but it lets you pull information out of a PDF, and so you can say what pages you want to start and end, and retrieve particular pages out of a PDF. So that's a nice new one. We've added that as a hotfix available in 1.24, but it's actually a feature that we developed in version 1.25. And then what I don't have time to show you, but I think is going to be very popular among our frequent low coders, is that in listings, when you have when you do a refresh of the listing or a refresh of the data source, the the grid buttons, the root button conditions are reevaluated. I'll show that in a future episode, but this makes it possible, for example, to test the data that's listed in the grid or anywhere and look for a condition, and when that condition exists, the button appears or disappears or gets grayed out, and so the listing then becomes more responsive to what you're trying to get accomplished, the data that's in the listing. So cool feature, and we have more. In terms of other changes, and I'll just talk about these, not actually show them, but we are, this kind of falls into the change category. We are deprecating the Plant an App theme, which features a menu that goes down the left. We're just not shipping the product with that anymore. So if you're starting up a new Plant an App, you'll only have availability to Page Builder or the themes that you load on your system, which most people, when you're doing a production site, would have their own themes. But we recommend that you use the Page Builder instead if you just need a general purpose theme. We had a bug with APIs and the automation, that new interface, taking a long time to load, and it turns out we were loading far too much information. All we needed was the name and the ID and a few things like that. So we were loading too much information, taking too long, and it's especially visible to people who have dozens or hundreds. I know we have people on the call that have many APIs or many automation jobs, and so it was taking too long to load, so that's fixed. And then also we've been straddling for a couple of versions that automation hasn't had an old user interface and a new user interface. Same with updates. You could do it the old way or the new way. We did that to make sure that all the things that we were introducing new were working fine, but they are. And so in this version, we're removing the old interfaces, the old UIs for automation and updates. That gives us less to maintain, and just saying that we're confident in the new experience, and that's the way to go. So we thank you for spending the hour with us here on the Low Code Cafe, and we will be back with you next week. We have a new and different topic, and we'll let you know about that on Monday when our email comes out. But I believe Jim Everett is going to be presenting on knowledge base. So looking forward to rolling that out officially. Thanks again for spending your hour with us. Thank you, Patrick, for your demonstration. We will see you next time.